Welcome home. This is the Irish Roots Cafe where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. So, Sweeney, clear the floor, Katie, bar the door, and Molly, wet the tea. It's time we get this show on the road. Well, this is actually show number 210, I believe, following the show number 209. And it's by special request because out of the 209 Irish family history podcasts that we made, I forgot Donovan, or it's the lost episode that somehow disappeared. I don't know, but I was reminded of that by a kindly person on YouTube, and so I thought I'd correct it and give a little information on the family. Now, O'Donovan, of course, has a coat of arms, and I went to the Irish Book of Arms and found that there were two names in the index, and I pulled up this one here, and this came from the Irish Book of Arms, and it reflects O'Donovan family history because the Herald listed it as O'Donovan of Clan Cathal in County Cork and O'Donovan of Ballymore in County Wexford. Now, of course, today we know Donovan is really sort of considered a Cork name, but if you go back 1,000 years or so, they actually had origins in County Limerick around that time, and they had a castle and a center of power, and you'll see that their chief castle was at Brewery, and that's found in the Book of Irish Families, Great and Small, that we published several years back. So that gives you a little information on the ancient origins of O'Donovan and how they started in Limerick, came to Cork, and of course there's plenty in Kerry. And in Wexford, yeah, they've got some too. And you've got to find out what county your line came from if you're going to trace your line back. And of course you can do that sometimes with DNA test. And if everybody that has your DNA came from a certain county, or maybe even a certain area in Ireland, then you know that's the place to start. And when it comes to resources, good gosh, there's so many resources for O'Donovan, it's almost a problem. Now, we've got it in a lot of our county books, our County Cork book, of course, and I think it'll be in Limerick and a few of the others because everywhere you turn, it's there. But if you think about the most famous O'Donovan, at least in the genealogy field going way back when, it's John O'Donovan, who was the editor of the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters around 1846. And today you'll see that work out in Irish and English in a 7-volume set, I believe. It was originally published in a big, fat 3-volume set. But of course, he did not neglect the O'Donovan family in his writings. So there's a resource. You can go and see what a famous O'Donovan or Donovan did. And when you look at the name, you're going to find that mostly the O before the name was dropped by the time of the 1890 birth index, where you're going to find a whole lot of Donovans and just a handful of O'Donovans. But that doesn't mean that's always the name, the way they spelled it in everyday life. But that's just something to keep in mind, that O'Donovan and Donovan. We've got 2 books on County Cork in the Irish Families Project that I wrote. One's a hardbound and one's the spiral bound book, and that could be of interest. And there's plenty of other books done too, like, hey, here we got the Castles of County Cork. I think that was by Healy. And that's a very interesting book if you're looking into Cork research. And of course, the Cork Historical and Antiquarian Society, or a similar title like that, published a periodical, and it just it covers all kinds of things. It gives all kinds of resources, even if the story may not be about your family. So those county journals are something to remember quite a bit, I think. Let me see. Since this is really the last. Even though we've got 50 old shows that are still to come up on YouTube, this is the most current and last show, and I sort of started it up again from scratch. So some of the music and titles aren't quite here, but I think it'll help you now. And we're working on. We've got 20 different categories of Irish family videos on YouTube, And that could be interesting, all the way from the music and ancient music and sean-nós and history, and it just gets better and better, folks. I'm telling you. So I want you to stay tuned and see what we're coming up with in 2018. We're going to have a little different setup here. We'll continue with the music, of course. We're working on our 4th and 5th albums. A lot of that is in the Irish language. That's a nice connection to your great-great-grandfather, you know. And at one point, a grandfather could talk to his grandson in the same language, and they'd understand each other. And for me, that would have been, you might say, Irish language. And now here I am stuck in the middle of the United States, and I didn't know any of the Irish language. So I started singing in Irish, and that helped me out. And you might think about singing a little bit in Irish too, or looking up a few Irish words, or taking a beginning Irish class. And they've got plenty of those online where you don't have to spend a lifetime developing your history if you don't want to. Nalain Tintan Marda Hinton Fame.